The Dallas Cowboys continue winning, in my opinion. According to Adam Schefter, the Colts are trading 5-time Pro Bowl cornerback Stephon Gilmore to the Dallas Cowboys. This is for a 5th-round compensatory pick that the Cowboys had, and I'm excited. I'm very excited because, in my opinion, the Cowboys have a top 5 defense, right, in terms of talent, in terms of players. But a part of them being that top 5 defense and it actually showing up was contingent on them getting a cornerback. And I didn't expect them to get this type of cornerback. I mean, Stephon Gilmore last year was very good still. And a lot of people are sleeping on Gilmore. But the guy was very, very, very good. And it was part of why the Colts still were a pretty respectable defense last year. In my opinion, Gilmore is still a top 5 to 7 cornerback in the NFL. And of course, rankings, very subjective. But I think Gilmore still has it. And I think he still has a good couple of years left. So for me, I think this is a perfect signing for the Cowboys. Last year, you went through a number of different cornerbacks trying to figure it out, trying to fix it opposite of Trayvon Diggs. And you weren't able to do it, right? A lot of guys kind of came in. A lot of guys weren't able to have success. A lot of injuries, right? Also kind of impacted the Cowboys last year. But now you bring in Gilmore. Arguably one of the best corners in the NFL. Perfect scheme fit as well, in my opinion. Dan Quinn wants those cornerbacks that are going to play man coverage. Wants cornerbacks that when you blitz can lock someone down. And think about this scenario, right? Think about this for a second. Imagine when, imagine when that quarterback drops back. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. Imagine when they drop back. Jalen Hurts, whoever it is. Imagine when they drop back and, on one end, you got Stephon Gilmore locking away your number one target. On the other end, you're going to take a 50-50 shot that it may be picked off and returned to the house. Good luck with that, man, if you're an opposing defense. I love this pickup for the Cowboys. One of the big things with Gilmore will be the contract and kind of restructuring it and trying to get the cap hits down just a little bit because I think the Cowboys do have to figure out a lot of things on the offensive side. Earlier, you brought back Donovan Wilson, which I think you had to do. He's such an important player for this defense. But now it's Stephon Gilmore. You got to figure out what you're going to do on the offensive side. I do think that some of these players could be restructured on the offensive side. You can bring down some of the cap hits this year, push them into future years. But you got to figure it out because I think Dak Prescott needs a lot of help on the offensive side. I've talked about this in the past. I think the Cowboys are Super Bowl bound, but they got to get offensive help. And a big part of getting offensive help is going to be not on the offensive line. You did lose Connor McGovern, obviously. You could technically slide Tyler Smith from left tackle back over to left guard. And then you can put Tyron Smith back over to left tackle. Terrence Steele is most likely coming back next year. The Cowboys put a 2nd-round tender on him. So he'll likely be back, right? And what that tells me is Steele will be the starting right tackle. Maybe at left tackle is Tyron Smith, and then at left guard is Tyler Smith. We'll see what ends up happening. But you got to figure out the offensive skill players, right? Because I don't think the offensive line is an issue at all. I think the Cowboys have a really good offensive line. You got some good players on the offensive line, but you got to get some weapons, right? CeeDee Lamb's a great football player. Tony Pollard's a great football player, but you got to figure it out outside of those two guys. Who's going to bring that explosive playmaking ability? Because in my opinion, if you don't bring that, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Now, obviously, having a great defense is the first part of winning a Super Bowl, but now you got to score points. Because when you play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl or the Philadelphia Eagles in the championship round, you got to be able to score 30-plus points. And maybe you can build that through the draft, but I do think there's a couple of guys still to be had, so we'll see what ends up happening. But Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys.